All right, welcome back everyone to the podcast. Mark here, still buzzing about something I've been diving deep into lately, the world of photo editing software.
And Jenny here, ready to ask all the questions. You know, the ones swirling in everyone's head when they hear photo editing software. Like, what's so exciting about asterisk that times? So Mark, really, what's got you so fired up this week?
Okay, fair question. It sounds maybe not that exciting on the surface, but man, this market is growing like crazy because digital content is everywhere now. Social media, e-commerce, all of it. And the numbers. Oh man, the numbers are fascinating and a little confusing.
Okay, you have my attention. Numbers can be interesting, especially when they're showing growth. How big are we talking, and why confusing?
All right, this is where it gets interesting. One study I looked at from Custom Market Insights puts the market size at around $345 million in 2023, and they predict it'll hit $580 million by 2032. That's a compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, that percentage of growth each year, of about 5.2%.
Okay, that sounds like solid, steady growth. Respectable even. But I sense a but coming? A big one, perhaps?
There's always a but. And yeah, this one's significant. Another study, this one from Market.us, has a asterisk completely times different take. They project it reaching $886 million by 2032, and at a higher CAGR of 7.7%. That's a huge difference. We're talking predictions that are hundreds of millions of dollars apart, nearly double the size projected by the first one.
Wow, okay, wait. Let me get this straight. Two different research groups looking at the same market, the same general time frame, and they end up with projections that are hundreds of millions of dollars apart? How is that even possible? Are they looking at different things?
Precisely, Jenny. That's the cool detective work part. It points to how they're defining the market. The lower projection, they're likely focusing on maybe just the traditional desktop software that first comes to mind. Think Photoshop, Lightroom, those established players. The higher ones? They're probably casting a wider net, including cloud-based tools. And here's likely the kicker: mobile apps.
Ah, of course, because who isn't editing photos on their phone these days? Like those quick fix apps everyone uses before posting to Instagram or sharing with friends. So if you bundle those in, alongside the desktop stuff, the market size would naturally be much, much bigger.
Exactly. It shows just how much the market is evolving. It's not just about sitting at your computer with a Wacom tablet anymore. Editing is happening everywhere, thanks to those powerful mobile tools.
That makes so much sense. And it highlights that photo editing software isn't this single, simple thing anymore. It's truly become a whole ecosystem, from high-end professional suites to free phone apps.
Precisely. And this brings us to another interesting layer that's really shaking things up. AI. Artificial intelligence is rapidly changing how this software works, at every level.
Oh, AI feels like it's everywhere now. How is it showing up specifically in photo editing, beyond just, automatic filters?
Okay, so basically what's happening is AI is automating a ton times of stuff that used to be really manual and time-consuming. Things that used to take ages, like removing an unwanted object from a photo, or filling in a background intelligently after you've, say, cropped something out. I can often do that in seconds now, with surprising accuracy. Reports suggest it can reduce manual editing time by up to 40% in some cases.
40%? Wow, that's a really significant time saver, especially for someone who's editing bulk images or working under deadlines.
For professionals, definitely. AI is being built right into these advanced suites for things like recognizing objects with high precision, adjusting colors based on the context of the scene, or even helping with real-time collaborative editing. The kind of thing studios are demanding now, where multiple artists can work on the same file simultaneously.
Real-time collaboration in photo editing? That sounds intense, like trying to paint on the same canvas at once, but also pretty useful for teams. So AI is making those powerful tools faster and perhaps even more accessible to a wider range of users?
That's the double-edged sword, isn't it? On one hand, because AI automation is becoming more efficient, it's filtering down into more consumer-friendly tools. It's making it easier for folks who aren't professional editors to touch up their photos and achieve results that used to require more technical skill. Things that were once complex manual processes are becoming buttons you click or sliders you move.
Yeah, you see that in a lot of basic consumer apps already. Filters that don't just change the color, but subtly adjust skin tones, sharpen details, or even swap skies with one tap.
Exactly. But the flip side is a serious one, the ethical stuff. With AI making it times easy and realistic to manipulate images, we're seeing a rise in concerning things like deepfakes and the rapid spread of misinformation through highly realistic altered photos. It creates a trust problem for visual media.
Oh, that's a really important point. It's already hard enough to figure out what's real online with all the filtering and editing happening. If AI makes it even easier to create convincing fakes that look completely original, that's a serious societal problem. Are the software companies doing anything about that? Is there a push for, digital watermarks or something?
It's a challenge, a constantly evolving one. The research mentions it as a key ethical impact of AI in this space. There's growing pressure on developers to build in ways to detect manipulation, or perhaps add metadata that indicates if an image has been AI generated or heavily altered. But as rapidly as detection methods improve, the technology to create more convincing fakes also advances. It's a constant cat-and-mouse game.
I can definitely imagine. So we have this booming market, the fascinating discrepancy in size based on definition, AI completely changing the workflow and raising significant ethical questions. What about the different types of users? Is it all professionals using this software, or is the consumer market a big piece of the pie too?
Okay, so the research points out that professional-grade tools, that's still where the majority of the revenue comes from. About 65% of the share for commercial software. These are the folks who need things like true raw file editing, working with the pure data from the camera sensor, precise color calibration for print or broadcast, efficient batch processing of hundreds of images, the sort of heavy-duty, detailed features that consumers generally don't need.
Right, because they rely on absolute image quality and workflow efficiency for their livelihood. That makes sense.
Precisely. And you see a noticeable price difference there, too. Professional subscriptions can be anywhere from $20 to over $50 a month, sometimes much more depending on the full suite you need. Consumer tools are often freemium, free with paid upgrades, or maybe under $10 a month for a premium version. Think of the difference between a full Adobe Creative Cloud photo subscription and, say, a VSCO or Snapseed premium subscription.
That makes sense based on the feature set and the intended use. But circling back to AI, with AI making some of those once complex features easier and more automated, are we starting to see the lines between professional and consumer software beginning to blur? Will consumers start getting near-pro results with easier tools?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? Or, the whatever $100 million question, depending on which market projection you believe. I think for truly high-end, precision work, where every pixel and every color is critical, think high-fashion photography or complex product shots, you'll still need that professional tier granular control. But for a lot of common tasks, yes. I might be lifting the consumer tools closer to what used to be considered professional results.
So maybe the segments won't fully disappear. But what defines them and the capabilities within each might change significantly. And with cloud subscriptions becoming more common, that also lowers the barrier to entry for some of these more professional tools, right? Instead of having to buy really expensive software licenses outright.
Absolutely. You hit on a big point there. Cloud subscription models are making it much easier, financially, for smaller businesses, freelancers, or even serious hobbyists to access those more advanced tools without a massive upfront investment. The research actually suggests that AI adoption, it's 6 times faster in small to medium businesses compared to larger enterprises. And subscription models are a big part of the why behind that. It makes it easier to adopt new, AI-powered features gradually.
That's a fascinating point. So, AI and cloud subscriptions are democratizing access to powerful tools. What other significant trends are you seeing or are on the horizon in this photo editing space?
Definitely collaboration, like we mentioned earlier. That's a clear and growing demand, especially from agencies and studios working on large projects. Looking further out, things like augmented reality, AR, and virtual reality, VR, are starting to pop up in discussions. Imagine editing an image, not on a flat screen, but by manipulating it in a 3D space around you using gesture controls instead of just a mouse and keyboard.
Whoa. Okay, that sounds a little sci-fi right now, but I can see how for certain types of edits, maybe compositing or spatial adjustments, that could potentially be a more intuitive way to work, manipulating elements in a 3D space.
Right? It's not mainstream yet, nowhere near, and we'd need to figure out some big challenges, like precision and maintaining accurate color representations in those immersive environments. But early experiments and research are happening. It's one of those emerging areas that could potentially change the entire workflow down the road.
That's wild to think about. So we've gone from conflicting market size numbers driven by the rise of mobile apps to the transformative power of AI and the significant ethical questions it raises, to the evolving definition of professional versus consumer software segments driven by factors like AI and cloud subscriptions, and now looking ahead to potential AR/VR integration. There is an unexpected amount happening in photo editing software.
Way more than just slapping a filter on an image, that's for sure. It's a seriously dynamic market, driven by our seemingly insatiable need for visual content and the rapid advancements in underlying technologies like AI.
Well, you certainly convinced me it's not just not that exciting. It's a complex and rapidly changing area with a lot of interesting angles, from business to ethics to technology.
Glad I could share some of the nerdiness. And yeah, I'm definitely going to keep an eye on those market projections over the next few years to see which one seems to be getting closer. The mobile app inclusion feels really key to those differences.
And I'll be interested to see how the AI ethics conversation continues to evolve. That feels like something that will only become more important as the technology gets more sophisticated.
For sure. Absolutely. All right, I think that's a good place to wrap up our dive into the photo editing software market for today.
Absolutely fascinating stuff, Mark. Thanks for breaking it all down in such a clear way. And thanks to everyone listening. We'll catch you next time for more deep dives into things that are maybe surprisingly interesting.
See ya!